Pearsonville at home here in Old Town Spring, which is located a little north of Houston. I am working on an old radio cabinet. I picked this guy up at auction, and buyer beware. So if you can't see the piece up close and personal, there may be a lot of issues. And in this one, there were. It did not have the radio in it, so I didn't have to worry about digging that out. However, there was shelving in here that looked like they got it at the dump. The back panel wasn't put on properly, and it looked like they got that out of a burn pile, which I think added to the smell. I remember some of the pieces you pick up have kind of an old smell, so they kind of, you know, you got to do something about that. So we have cleaned it, rinsed it, and I started priming it. And this is a sneak peek. This is the gray primer that Paint Couture is going to come out with early 2021, and it is an odor and stain blocking primer. Now I picked gray because I thought I was going to do a dark color. Evidently I have commitment issues because I didn't do a dark color. The gray primer is perfect for those ultra deep bases like Russian red, the Caribbean coral, Polynesian pink, those type of colors. Think of it painting a car cherry red. You're going to put a gray primer to help cover that cherry red. So that's why you would use a gray primer. I decided to paint the piece Italian ivory, which, yes, it would have been tremendously easier if I would have painted it with a white primer, but again, commitment issues. So that's all right. And there was a lot of sanding in this guy. Lots. It was like they took the top and used it as a chopping block at one point. So a lot of sanding, a lot of filling in holes, some more sanding, and of course the primer. And this piece still needs to be primed as well. I did add some bits to it because there was some molding here and part of it was missing. This side was perfect, but I wasn't going to try to make molds. So I chipped those away, sanded that, filled some holes in, and put on some of my Would You Bend moldings, which is the 1315. The centerpiece is 1339, and then 2 drops, which are the 2096, and this teeny tiny trim piece, which is itty bitty. It will break on you as you're trying to put together. It's the 50B trim. So those I have them. I'm sure Dustin also has them, but I wanted to tell you what they were in case you're wondering what on earth is going on here. So I'm going to show you. We've already got our sides painted, and that's what we're going to work on today. One thing I will tell you, I resist change like a crazy person. I love my zebra stubby angled brush. It's my favorite. So I like to just use, let's see, the stubby angle on pretty much everything, and I even use it on the trim pieces, but this is better. The fan brush is much, much better. So that's what I like to use on my piece. So this fan brush worked better on the molding pieces, so I was able to do all of my molding much faster and easier. So if you haven't tried that, I would definitely tell you to go ahead and give that a try. So you guys, if you have any questions or comments, make sure you drop them in the comments below, and we'll definitely answer them for you. Also, make sure you sprinkle this around so that we can have a few more people watch us. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here on the side. I wanted something a little bit different on this piece, so we're gonna use our Posh. I have a stencil from Posh Chalks, and we're using the Bee Poshitive. Go figure, there's bees on it, because I am a bee fan. So we're gonna go ahead and do the bee stencil here. On the side, we're going to use, and what we're also using on the inside of the piece as well, I'm going to go ahead and turn it so you can see the back of it. All right, so this is the inside. We're going to put it back on it, but for me to work on it, it's easier actually without it on the back. So we are painting it in a rich gold, so that way, because it is a pretty dark piece, very small doors, you're not going to be able to see the inside very well. So decided to paint it with the rich gold. There it is right there. So really nice. Gives you a little shimmer to it and reflective quality, so that'll get it nice and you can see it. So let's go ahead and get our stencil ready. And now I did cut my stencil at the bottom because it was too much plastic here where I couldn't get close enough to the bottom. So I wanted to be really close to the bottom on this one and didn't want to have to to like bend my stencil, so it's just easier to cut it because it's probably mostly the way I'm going to use it anyway. All right, so let's go ahead and just tape this guy on there. All right, so we're just making sure we just have it all secured down, and then I'm going to tape here at the bottom because I don't want to get any on my trim down here. I'm kind of a messy painter, so I don't want to get it all messed up. All right, so there we go. All right, so what I'm going to use, I'm using one of my blue ice brushes. This is one that I like to use for stenciling. It's a 1-inch short guy there. He's already got some stuff on him. So let me go ahead and get my rich gold. Now, of course, we had this already shaken and stirred many, many times today. And again, the color on our piece is Italian ivory. All right. Okay, so, and I'm going to use very, very, very little of this rich gold. This is rich gold by Pink Tour. And y'all, they have the best metallics on the market. All right, so all I'm doing is dabbing my brush and getting a very, very little bit on it. So I've got very, very little bit. You can't even see it on it. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna swirl it on. Okay. And if you make a mess up on this one, it's okay. I kind of did on the other side, and I'm okay with it because I actually went back and sanded some of it back to give it kind of a vintagey old look to it. So we're just going to kind of work that in there. Making sure, yeah. It's hard to tell that you're getting any of the paint on when you have the stencil. So sometimes you kind of think you're not getting enough on, but you are. Just kind of work it all in there. Like I said, you're putting such a little amount, and it's just to give it kind of make it pretty. I want to make it pretty. All right, just give it a pattern here, and I hold it down because obviously it's not taped here at the bottom. You got to get all your little lines done and on there. All right, so let's see, we're gonna go ahead and take off all of this. Let me see if I can, so I'll use this again here in just a jiffy. Okay, so make sure this is dry. I'm just gonna take a paper towel and I'm just gonna kind of blot the back since I'm gonna keep going here. So I wanna give it another little stencil here so you guys can see how I'm gonna match that up. All right, let me see. I don't need the tape there. I do need to move it here. All right. Okay, now let's see. I think we're pretty dry. I mean, this dries pretty quickly. But that's our little bees on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and line them up. Of course, I don't have, the way this stencil's made, it doesn't line up like some of the, I've used some floor stencils, and I think Royal Stencils has them, where there's a line up to it. That doesn't happen on this one, and it's okay. I just take this and find my bees again, and I just line it up. Oh, so perfectly. All right, let me see, little bees. Okay. All right. That looks good from here. All right, so let's go ahead and put some tape back on this guy. So we're gonna tape that little hole up because I don't need that in my life. Tape that up there. All right, this is a little long piece. So I'm just gonna tape it. Oh, see, I moved it. I moved it. All right, so let's get you lined back up. All right, so that's lined up. So it's a pretty easy lineup. I mean, it's bees in a diamond shape. So pretty easy to get it going. All right, so let's go ahead. And so again, we're just getting the excess off. There's not any dripping. I couldn't sling this on you if I tried. So we're just gonna go back through. Now, if you like to stencil with a sponge, you could certainly do that. You could stencil it by stippling it. I'm using such a little bitty amount that it doesn't even matter. And like I said, I did have a little bit because I got a little too carried away earlier and got a little underneath one, and it's okay because I just sanded it back. Let's see. I keep going here. All right. And if it looks a little faded away, that's a-okay. All right, so let's go ahead. I got all my bees done on this one. So it's a pretty quick process. So I like how they're turning out. We're gonna try to go a little lighter on top here. I didn't earlier, and it's okay. I mean, I like it, it's fine. But I was kind of trying to go a little lighter on top, but I'm a little heavy-handed, so that doesn't always happen. So it's all right. It's all good. All right, so let's go ahead and get this sucker lined up and put my brush down. Grab a few pieces of tape. We're gonna finish this out real quick. That way we can keep going with this side. Yeah. All right, perfect. Perfect. All right, and how I wash my stencils out. Oh yeah. Funny thing is, I'm terrible about taking pictures of before, but I do have the auction photos, which I should know better. When I look at them now, hindsight's 50-50, and I'm like, oh yeah, the door didn't shut and all this good stuff. So I do have that really gross back piece and stuff, so I still have all that. But yes, it's pretty but yeah, lesson learned. So you guys know when you're buying stuff online through an auction, it's probably not going to be perfect. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to be putting a little bit of a transfer. So we're going to have a transfer, and we're using a Violet Hill, this one right here. I'm doing a lot of it on the top. So this is going to turn into a bar. That's my vision. So the top will have a lot of the Violet Hill on the top, and just a little bits on the side here. So I'm gonna make sure that gets pretty dry real quick here. So we're gonna make sure, I'm gonna turn on quick fan just to make sure it dries. But I've got my pieces already laid out for the top. What we're gonna do on top, and we're not gonna do that on camera because it's really too hard to get you guys way up there, but it'll be really cool because like I said, the top isn't perfect. No matter how many times I filled in holes, I mean, it literally was like a slice and dice up there. It was like they sawed parts. I don't know, maybe it was part of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know. It was bad. So it's as smooth as it's gonna get, but we're gonna put some transfers on it, make it pretty, okay? So those are gonna be on the top. So there's a combination of those. I'm not sure exactly where I'm gonna lay it out on top. I'm mostly gonna cut out on, let's see, what did I do with the one now? All right, let's see. I think this is the one. Actually, it's up here. 1, 2, 4. All right, so, oh yes, I remember where I stuck it now. I stuck in a good spot so I wouldn't lose it. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, you guys, I hide stuff from me all the time. I have this discussion with Dustin. I still cannot find the tape, but I lose stuff a lot. It happens. It's just the way it is. So I always think I have this like really great spot to hide stuff, or like not hide it, just put it somewhere where I'm gonna like use it again, and then I like totally lose it. This is the side I already started and did, and I may do a few more pieces on this side. I'm not Not 100% yet, because this transfer has a lot of writing in it, so I've had to cut out a lot of that. So this side is already done. Now this is a bee that got kind of, he kind of got smooshed, but that's okay. I let him dry, and then I just sanded the heck out of them, and then I kind of liked it, and then I sanded more of them. So maybe I'll sand some on the other side too, so they kind of look similar. But this is what the look we're going for. So, ta-da! So yes, you guys, I really love transfers, and I'm pretty excited about the stamps that are coming. So, or that I already have, but I can't tell you about them until tomorrow, or you can't see them until tomorrow. But I'm excited about those. So I've always wanted to do stamps on furniture, but we didn't have the company that had them. We came into Prima a couple of years ago, so they didn't have them anymore. So now we do. All right, so let's get our piece. All right, so I've already played around with this a little bit today, and I kind of want it to look like it's dropping right about here. So I need to cut, here and cut it about right there. But first of all, I'm gonna cut this top off, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and cut the top, because that just drives me insane trying to bend it on my piece. So I also do cut sometimes these to, when I'm matching them, I found that makes it easier than trying to overlap, because you have like a little overlap and it just doesn't seem to do as well for me. I feel like I have too much thickness, so I cut them. Maybe I'm not supposed to, but I cut them anyway. Because when I didn't cut them, it didn't come out so great. All right, so boom. All right, and I already know I don't want all these words, so I'm just gonna cut that out real quick here. So I don't need a bunch of words on my stuff. I've already got these, and they're pretty talented enough, so I don't need any extra stuff. And you can totally cut up your transfer. You know, don't feel like you have to use what it is. I mean, it could be like flowers, overlapping flowers, and you can cut out, you're like, I want that flower right there, cut it out. Don't be afraid. It's not like these are $1 million. You know, so, and we do have some on sale right now, so you can always try them out to see how it works. I will warn you though, once you try it, you won't be able to stop. You'll be hooked. I'm just warning you now. All right. They've even had people, they've done transfers on their handbags. So, I mean, I've seen transfers on everything. So, it's crazy. All right, I'm gonna cut, I'm just gonna snip that. All right, we're gonna keep cutting here. And some of the words I can't help, they're gonna be there. It is what it is, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. But I'm just cutting the majority out because I don't want them on there. I just don't want them. Gotta cut around this little bitty purple thing. Okay. Cut. All right, so I'm getting to the end-ish. All right, I'm gonna save my words too, because I might want them on something else, you know, commitment issues. May decide to put them on something else. Yes, they are addictive. All right, so just a hair more. I'm a terrible measurer too, so let's see. Yeah, that's kind of the extent of how I measure stuff. And I'm just gonna cut that. Now normally I would have a straight edge and I would cut that so it would be perfect. I might cut just a hair bigger than I'm needing. Let's see. Just so that if I get too much, it can overlap on the back because we're gonna hide that anyway, so not a big deal. So, but if you cut it too short, nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do. I mean, well, I guess you could like piece it together, but that's kind of like really hard. And since I'm a measure once, cut twice kind of girl, that has happened to me. All right. So I cut it just a little bit bigger, just to make sure. It's gonna wrap around the back. I don't care. It's a-okay fine, because I can. It's gonna be covered up anyway with the back. All right. So let me cut off. I don't need this weird thing here. I'm gonna cut it off. All right. So let's get this guy going. And I lose my transfer tool. That's another thing I lose around here all the time. I'm always putting in that safe spot. So, all right. Okay, so I want this cute little flower to be kind of dangling over here. Okay. And I'm okay with it wrapping around that much because you're not gonna actually see it. Once I put the back on it, it's gonna be a-okay. All right. So we just finished painting this. The white today, or the Italian ivory got painted today. Let me start trying to get this lifted up. And I have fingernails, but we'll see. Let's see if we can get this lifted up. Woo. I didn't want to start over here, but I guess I'm gonna have to. So I'm gonna push this down back here. So maybe it'll pop off for me so I can start pulling my transfer. My nails, y'all. They're itty bitty. And I can't quite get it off. So I'm gonna start on the back end. Alright, need just this front to stay. So if this back doesn't stick on, let me turn it so I can get in there. So I've got to build a shelf yet for the inside of this piece. So that's something I can cut at home. So that's going to be the easier part. And then I've got to put the shelving back together. Because it was really brittle and disgusting. It's just gross. And they had used these nails that were like 100 years old. It was just crazy. All right, so now we got that. We got it. Woo! All right, we got a starting point. All right, so I'm using a burnishing tool in case you're wondering. All the transfers come with a free little stick. You get a stick every time. I collect them somewhere here in the shop. Maybe I'll use them to stir stuff up. I don't know, but they're collected here. So I guess if you ever lose one, you can always come by and grab a stick from me or get a transfer tool. They work pretty darn easy on getting your transfer on your piece. And sometimes when I have a little bit more trouble, it's usually where there's some words or finer small areas because they have more of the backing. So just kind of smush that back down and keep going. Okay. Now keep on trucking on these. All right. Always make sure we're good on time. You guys, I get more painting done because of you guys, so it's really awesome. So I'm glad you guys tune in. Make sure you sprinkle this around. Ooh, ooh. This guy wants to stay on. Get off there, man. All right. There we go. You didn't want to come off. That's all right. All right, and then once we're done with the piece, I will seal it. Most likely, I'll probably seal this piece with the Paint Couture flat. It has a slight sheen. It's my favorite. Again, I don't like change. But because it's not the most perfect piece, I don't want to do dead flat because it's not that imperfect. Like I'll use dead flat on a really bad piece because dead flat, it's kind of like matte makeup. It kind of hides all the flaws. So it just kind of fuzzies that out. You don't see it. So if you use a high gloss like a satin or even satin or a semi-gloss and you've got some imperfection, it's going to be more noticeable. It's going to hit those highs and lows and stuff like that. So you don't want that to happen. If that happens, even when you have something perfectly smoothed out, it'll sometimes show up like, oh, look, you repaired that side. Not that that's happened or anything. Let's see. These little leaves want to not come off today. All right, let's see. Here we go. Little leaves. Alrighty. And you guys, I'll always answer all your questions. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. We're in the home stretch. So all these little leaves have little kind of the halos. If you ever done. So this little leaves have all the our little boogers. So they're giving me a little bit of trouble here because they have all those. They're kind of like letters or words. If you've ever done a transfer, you know what I'm talking about. Those are the parts that kind of give you a little more trouble than some of the others. So when you get to the home stretch, you're fine. I'm going to go slow because I don't want to rip her into pieces. Woo! Woo-wee! Okay, great. So if you were doing this, you could always save this and use it to burnish everything else. So what I'm going to do is you could take a cloth, like a t-shirt, whatever. I just got like a little finishing pad because I have them. So I'm just going to go through and push everything down, make sure, and I kind of start in my middle and work my way out to make sure this is nicely adhered on. All right, so if you have any bubbles, when you go to put your clear coat on, what happens is it's gonna dry and pull it back and it'll bust your transfer. And you don't want that to happen. Because while they're not breaking the bank, they're not cheap enough to buy two, you know? So, all right. Let's get this on there. So I'm gonna burnish it really well. Okay, and I got my little bees. I'm super excited about my bees. All right, I heard an air bubble. Sometimes you hear them when you're pushing down your transfer. So you just kind of keep going until it's nice and pushed down. Some people like to use their finger. I sometimes do with caution, because one time I did that and I ended up with a bunch of transfer all over my fingers. So I always want to be careful when doing it. All right. Boom. All right, cool. All right, so that is done. So my sides of my piece are done, except for, you know, a top coat and all that good stuff. But I'm pretty sure we'll be finishing her, hopefully we'll be finishing her up next week. Like I gotta cut the insides, so I'm gonna turn, let me see, so you can see my handiwork. Ta-da. Oh, and you can, I forgot to do this, you can take your little sanding sponge and sand some of your little beads if you want them to not be perfect. It's up to you if you want to do that. If you do that, make sure you wipe off any excess dust. All right, and I'll show you the inside so you guys know we have an empty cabinet. We'll be putting, I need to do a couple more coats. This is the rich gold inside. There's some ugly parts, but you're not going to see that on the other side. So we're going to put a high cabinet because it had a low shelf in here. It was way too low for alcohol. And here is the front. And again, we added some Woodgie Bin moldings. The top will have embellishments of the violet peel transfer as well. And again, there'll be something on the inside. I haven't decided yet because, you know, commitments. But I'm excited, I can't wait. It'll probably be a stamp somewhere in here because I got them today. So I'm super excited about that. And by the way, this brush, the fan brush I was telling you about that I was like, I don't want to use any other brushes. This works perfect on the trim pieces, but it also works great on, look at those legs. So we got a lot of spindly legs. This works perfect getting in all those spots. So it works so much better than I love this. This is my trusty sidekick. I will take it everywhere, but this is my new best friend. Because it also got my nice little areas here. And if you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the box. Happy painting. Y'all have a great day.